focus tight, mind in flight, mind in flight. Charts and coffee make it flow, yeah. That's the rhythm that I know. Second cup, now I'm in the zone. All these patterns speaking in code. They don't know about this morning grind, being sharp when others fall behind. Fuck that FOMO, I stay composed. Years of practice, that's how it goes. Every move calculated, clean. This ain't luck, you know what I mean. Early bird gets the fucking win. That's why I'm here where I've always been. Discipline hits different when it's dark. That's what sets the real on me. Early bird gets the fucking win. That's why I'm here where I've always been. Discipline hits different when it's dark. That's what sets the real ones apart. Their cup's cold, but I don't care. These indicators showing me where to place it perfect, time is sweet, while amateurs still catch disease. This game ain't for the weak or slow. Gotta be ready when it's time to go. Morning ritual got me trained. Others sleep while I maintain. Charts and coffee one more time, yeah. This rhythm's yours and this rhythm's mine, this rhythm's mine.
Early hours hit me with a different kind of peace. While the world's still quiet, I find my release. Just me and these numbers dancing slow, building patterns in my mind as I go. Something special about this morning, and way before the day is time to care.
And I keep asking myself as the minutes tick by, and I keep wondering why every morning feels so right. What's brewing in my coffee or my mind? What's brewing leaving yesterday behind? What's brewing in this cup of time? What's brewing as these thoughts align?
You asked me once why I rise before the sun. Said I'm chasing something that can't be outrun. It's not about the money or the gain. It's about finding clarity when things ain't the same. Each morning ritual brings me closer to truth. Like watching steam rise, I'm finding proof that patience builds more than just a perfect cup. It's teaching me when to hold, when to give up.
What's brewing in my coffee or my mind? What's brewing leaving yesterday behind? What's brewing in this cup of time? What's brewing as these thoughts align? Sometimes I wish you could see this morning meditation with me, where everything makes sense before the world gets intense.
What's brewing has these thoughts align? What's brewing in me?
Bird catching attic while the world's still asleep. Let me show you my morning ritual. First light hits my screen, I'm in my element. Fresh brew by my side, mind is confident. Reading these patterns like sheet music, feel the flow. Each candlestick painting stories as they go. Morning meditation with my market view. Catching waves of data, riding them with you. Some see just numbers, I hear the melody. Each trend line speaking rhythmically to me. Time signatures changing, support levels hold. Breaking down resistance as the day unfolds. Charts and coffee, that's my harmony. Finding rhythms where others just see. Random moves and noise, but baby, can't you see? These patterns move like jazz, just trust in me. Moving like jazz, just trust in me. Second cup hitting different minds, eye clear. Watch these price points dance, appear and reappear like a jazz musician. Reading between the lines, finding sweet spots where opportunity shines. Keep it cool and steady, no need to rush. Let the market breathe, feel that morning hush. Been studying patterns since you've been sleeping. Watching lines form art while knowledge I'm reaping. Strategy tight like a bebop groove. Calculated steps on when to make my move. Speed picks up, more intense delivery. Quick shifts coming, tempo changing fast. Gotta stay composed, make these moments last. Reading signals, catching every beat. Market symphony playing just for me. Mind stay elevated, focus clean. This ain't just trading, this is art you're seeing. Charts and coffee, yeah, that's my harmony. Finding rhythms where others just see. Random moves and noise, but baby, can't you see? These patterns move like jazz, just trust in me. Moving like jazz, just trust in me. Morning ritual complete. Left my mark on these streets of green and red, but the rhythm stays in my head. Morning comes, I think of you first. Chart lines dance while my coffee bursts. Been at this game since day one, teaching me patience like you always done. Charts and coffee, that's our way, that's how we start the day. Got my screens lit, what you gonna say? Watch how the patterns play. Numbers flow like the brew in my cup. Some days down, but we keep looking up. You showed me how to read these signs. Now every morning feels like yours and mine. Remember what you taught me about staying cool. When markets get wild, I follow your rules. Charts and coffee, that's our way. That's how we start the day. Got my screens lit, what you gonna say? Watch how the patterns play. Just you, me, and these morning routines. Building something real, building something real. Hold on me.
Got you rushing in the morning, trying to catch every move. But let me share something with you that'll help improve your groove. See, you're like fresh beans waiting to release what's locked inside. But patience makes the difference between success and a wild ride. Take it slow, watch it form, just like steam rising up warm. Let it brew, just like your morning cup. Just like your morning cup. Take your time, watch it flow, don't rush to drink it up. Don't rush to drink it up. Wisdom comes in drops, like coffee through the filter, finding patience at the top. You check your screens at sunrise, numbers dancing everywhere. But trading's like my coffee method, it needs time and tender care. Temperature's important, just like timing in the trade. Too hot and you'll get burned quick, too cold opportunities fade. Take it slow, watch it form, just like steam.
One.
All right, welcome back everybody to another week and another live lesson. Thank you guys for joining me today. Now, this week we are going over analysis paralysis, right? And then the little subtext there, why too much works against us, right? So just to give a bit of a premise on today's lesson, I'm sure you've all heard the term analysis paralysis, right? But before we get into it, let's define what does that mean exactly, right? So it's not saying that if we analyze the markets that it's going to paralyze us in fear or in greed or anything like that. Again, it's just saying that if we start to overanalyze the market, right, why too much, it's going to leave us doing nothing or too little or even sometimes too much. And in the end, that's not going to work for us because, again, what's the number one thing? It's consistency. We were talking about it in the morning live chat for a little bit there. Consistency is key. And if it's too much, then it's going to be too much for you to stay consistent with. Okay, so let's break into our first slide, right? And that's how to identify over-analysis, right? And so I'm going to go through my bullet points first. And the first one would be unable to describe rules, right? So again, if you're building your strategy, whatnot, that's different. But if you have your strategy and you're not actively making any changes to it, and you're trading it every day, and you're just not getting those returns, right? The back test, it looks great, you're making great returns, but when you go to live trade it, you're just not getting there. For some reason, you're not getting the same return. And that may be because you're unable to actually write down or describe your rules. And that could come up if you're saying, well, I put my levels where, they should go. Right? Well, that's not very specific, right? How would I describe that to someone else? You got to think your rules should be able to be described to someone else and they should be able to trade it from that, right? There might be a few nuances that they might have to come back with questions, but for the most part, you should be able to write down your rules and someone with a fair amount of ease should be able to replicate your strategy just from the rules written down. Now, the second one I have there is chart is too cluttered, right? Again, this is a common one. You've got 4 different, indicators on the bottom. Your chart's covered in drawings. You've got EMAs all around, every single divergent from the VWAP. And then on top of that, you've got every single order block and supply and demand zone marked out. Like, this is too much. It's too much. And you got to remember that for the most part, a lot of these indicators or drawings or whatever you want to classify them, they are in and of itself the same. Because what are they doing? They are depicting areas of liquidity or areas where market's going to reject or be supported, right? These are just definitive words to use to indicate different areas that the market's going to reject or market's going to get filled in a lot of orders. And then the last one I have there is looking for broad market assumptions. So I'm going to pause for a second. I want to go into that point a little bit more because I don't hear that. I don't hear that one talked about as often. And what I mean by looking for broad market assumptions is if before the market starts that day, right, whatever you're doing, and you look at it and you have your rules, right? Let's assume you have your rules written down. But then you go into it and you see, man, the market doesn't have much volume today. And maybe that's not written in your rules. Market not having high volume is an indicator that you shouldn't trade. But you decide that you're not going to risk as much, right? Or you're going to risk a little more. Maybe you're a range trader, right? So I'm just kind of laying an example for you guys to visualize that whatever your rules are, that's all you should worry about. You shouldn't look at it as, hey, there's not much volume going on in the market, so I'm going to kind of step back a little. Or, oh, there's a lot of news today, so I'm going to try and step away, right? I'm not saying that you should ignore these things, but I am saying don't make things outside of your strategy be huge determiners on whether you take a trade or not. Be aware of them. If you know news is about to hit and your setup gets there, I truthfully believe you should still take that setup, but be a little bit more cautious, right? Make sure you're 100% focused on it. Make sure you're ready for that wick to come down and stop you out, right? Be ready for these things and try to prepare for them. And if it happens a lot, then add it to your strategy, right? Add these things so that you're not having to overanalyze things that aren't in your strategy, but rather they're a part of the way you trade it, but you do them every day. Overanalysis is not the only time, you're not only overanalyzing the markets when you're doing too much or there's too much on your chart. Sometimes it's when you just try to add one extra thing or two extra things, but you haven't backtested these things. You haven't seen how they relate to the way you trade. You just think, well, it works for other people, so I'm going to add it today and it's going to help me. That's not real. That's not how this works. Okay, guys, it doesn't have to be super out in the open. Sometimes it's just one or two extra things that you haven't backtested. That is over-analysis. Now, going into steps to simplify, right? The solution. So, again, I've talked about this in the past. It's been a while, simplifying your strategy, but I figured I would pause on this for a second, and that's anything that is not within your rules should be ignored. That's today's main focus, because anything that is outside your rules that you try to add is over-analysis. It is not, extra confluences. It is not helping me to make more money, right? If you add them to your strategy, then they are. But we add things to our strategy with months of back testing, not, hey, my friend uses this, so I'm going to try adding it to my rules, okay? Don't think that I'm telling you adding extra things to your strategy is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying trying to add things on the fly or at random moments or at random intervals, that's not how we get to these profitable stages in our trading career, but rather that's how we continue to have setbacks. So simplify your strategy by writing down your rules and ignore anything that is not within those confines of the things you've just written down. And then finally, let's go over why we should simplify, right? The first one I have there is ease of use, right? We talk about consistency a lot. And one of the things that people get wrong so often is that they try to overcomplicate their strategy and they make it impossible for them to actually get those consistent results. Because maybe you can go back through and back test something, right? And you can say, wow, this is getting me huge returns every single day. But those huge returns are because you're day trading on the 1 minute chart and you're taking a trade every 10, 15 minutes. Maybe it's, every 30 minutes. But the point is, in those back tests, you're not taking into account how fast the candle's moving. You're not taking into account how many different indicators you have to watch all at once, right? So if you overanalyze what the market's doing and you don't give yourself ample time to react to it accordingly, that is over-analysis. We need to step back and simplify it so it's easy to use. The second is proper data, right? This is pretty much what I was just saying, but it's making sure that when we look at our back tests, right, that we are taking into account things like slippage, things like commission. A good example of ways to do that would be if you're tracking them using the R to R method, right, that you don't put this trade made me 1-to-1 or this trade made me 2-to-1. Maybe you put this trade made me 0.9 or 1.9. So you take 10%, 10% off the top to account for commission and slippage. That way, when you get to the end of it, you can see, wow, how much did that add up? Maybe you need to add more slippage or commission. Maybe you need to take away less, right? It has to be fine-tuned to your strategy, But at the end of the day, if it's too complicated, then you're going to have improper data. And then when you go to live trade it, you're going to be confused why the results are so different and why it seems like everything's just not lining up the way it should. And then lastly, again, long-term consistency. We've already talked about it, but it ties into those first two, ease of use and proper data. Those two are going to be the things that determine whether or not you have long-term profits and long-term consistency. Without worry, right, what I have below there, without worry that our strategy is unprofitable or that we will make a mistake within the rules, that is what allows us to stay consistent. We have a profitable strategy with good data, and we don't make a mistake within our rules because it's easy to use. Boom, long-term consistency. Okay? Again, just a few reasons why I think we should simplify. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to go back through a couple things that I went over. But does anybody have any questions before I go back a little? Rally, we have anything over in those chats?
I am not seeing anything over here. Anybody got any questions, guys? Anything?
Let's see. All right. Well, if we don't have anything on that first one, I just want to take it back. We're just going to go through this one more time. So, I want to hone in on that idea of over-analysis a little bit more, because I think I talked about simplifying your strategy, why you should, why it should be simple. But let's talk about what over-analysis is, right? Let's say, I don't know, you trade support resistance, right? I like to keep things simple when I'm giving you guys these examples. You trade support resistance, right? Well, then maybe you start to add in EMAs. Right. Okay. Well, if it's above a certain EMA, then I'll take longs. If it's below a certain EMA, I'll take shorts. Right. Just kind of following the trend of it. Boom. Hits your levels. You take your trades. Right. These are all good examples of how someone can simplify a strategy, how they can remain profitable by just trading something that doesn't take a lot of skill. But that same person, they may have a profitable strategy trading the way I just described. But pretty soon, they're going to wonder, hey, maybe if I added something to this, I'm going to get more money, right? Before I even give examples, I want you guys to stop and think and ask yourself this question. What is easier? Is it easier to add something to a strategy that you have to backtest for a good amount of time to make sure it works? You have to then live test it to make sure it works in the live test. But then on top of all of that, you're going to have to fine tune it to your own strategy to make sure that you can replicate these results. That may take months, if not a year or more for you to do. Is that easier than saying, okay, I'm going to keep this strategy, but I'm now going to allocate a little bit more money into my trading account? Maybe that means buying a couple more evals. Maybe that means putting more money in your actual live account, right? So why are we so focused on improving a strategy that could take a long time rather than just risking a little more? And then on that same topic, I ask you, if you're not okay with risking more, why are you trying to improve your strategy? If you're not ready to risk more money, you shouldn't be ready to improve the strategy. You need to get as confident as possible with this strategy, right? Because remember this, guys, if we were 100% confident in our strategy, right? And by 100% confident, I mean you have 0% doubt that you're going to lose money on days that you take a loss, right? And I'm talking long-term lose money, right? So days you take a loss, weeks that you're down money, maybe a month that you really didn't end up very well. You need to be able to take those losses in stride and say, it doesn't bother me because I know by the end of this year, it's not going to matter. Until you achieve that level of confidence with your strategy, why are you bothering to improve it? Is it because you think making more money is going to make you more confident? Or is trying to do too much going to make you less confident because there's so many moving parts? And every day that one of those moving parts that you added isn't met, right? Or you don't follow a rule because you made it too complicated, that is now building the bad habit of less confidence. Me and Crown, just a little bit ago, we were talking about bad habits. How in the beginning, a lot of traders, they get stuck on this idea that they want to make a bunch of money really quick. And by making a bunch of money really quick, what does that require? Well, in their minds, it requires no losses or very little losses. Now you've developed this idea that you should have as little losses as possible and your winners should be as big as possible. That's the number one reason people fail. because they get scared to lose money and they get greedy to actually make money, right? Or they want to make more, so they risk too much and then they lose, and then they get fearful because they lost. It all ties back in and of itself, guys. It's one big consistent loop of failure that if we just said, hey, let me keep it simple, right? Slide number 2, the solution, keep it simple. And I don't add all these extraneous things that really aren't helping me that much, but rather they're giving me the dopamine effect that is, hey, if I'm doing more, I'm getting better. But that's not real. That's not real, guys. The reality is, if I'm sticking to a strategy that is simple, whether it be 100% mechanical, maybe most of it's mechanical, maybe some of it's mechanical, and the rest is subjective, however your needs are to be met in trading, right? And we stick to it for a long enough time and we see, wow, I made money this month. Wow, I made this money this month. I made a little bit less this month. Oh, I was break even this month. I lost some, but now I'm winning again. If we can get in that realm, that's where confidence is built. And confidence is what drives everything to a greater point of profitability, because it's not the markets that make us money. It's our habits. The market is completely random. It's going to be different every single day. The only way we can remain consistent is if we do the same thing every day within the market. And the only way we can do that is confident that doing the same thing is going to get us to the returns that we want. Okay, guys? So, again, I'm going to stop there. Reality, one more time. We got any questions over there in the chat? Anybody want to go over, any questions on, what I mean by over-analysis, whether, or, if you have questions on how to simplify things?
Anybody got anything, guys? I'm not seeing nothing so far. Oh, something came through.
That?
Dennis and Crown both are asking questions there in the server.
Okay, give me 1 second. I can pull it up real quick. In the live education. Gotcha, I was a little late. Great contact. Thank you for joining us, Dennis. How are you using my gremlins? Yeah. We me and Crown, we were talking about the gremlins for a little bit before, and I know most people weren't in there, but by gremlins I mean it's those things in the back of your head that are telling you to, maybe they're telling you to risk more, maybe they're telling you to, take more trades, to analyze more, right? Anything like that, you got to ignore them. You got to ignore the goblins, the gremlins, get rid of them, throw them away, say, hey, that's not real, right? I say that's not real a lot because it's not. It's really easy to think that it's real, but it's not. The idea of more analysis making me more money. Guys, it's a real statistic that more trades does not equal more money. Like they did a study and they looked at whether it was a inverse effect on more trades on a daily basis equals more profit, and it was, which means the people that were taking more trades consistently, on average, their amount per trade in profit was lower than the guys who decided to take maybe one trade a day. Maybe it's a couple trades a week, right? The guys who were slower and more patient, they were able to return a higher rate of return than the guys that were taking multiple trades in a day. Let me see. Dennis, he said, proved it to myself today, lost an account and got shaken, got back to simple, and boom, today was great. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, I most of these lessons that I do, usually they're about the pitfalls that I'm currently going through. And I have to figure out, well, how did I overcome this, or how am I overcoming this? And then I can teach you guys, or I can show you, hey, don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't do the things that I'm doing, right? Read into it as much as you can and figure out, well, if I'm saying to do this, try it. I'm not saying it's going to work every time. I never would. But try it. See if that helps. See if it helps alleviate some of those gremlins in the back of your mind that aren't wanting you to succeed, but rather they want you to gamble your accounts and get better real quick. But nothing over in those YouTube channels, Reality, as far as questions.
Chapo just said it feels good to be back. We are glad to have you back, Chapo, over on YouTube.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I feel like I sped through that one pretty quick, but I think we were live for at least, 10, 15 minutes, something like that. We'll go ahead. We'll call it there. I'll see you guys coming around next week. And, be sure to join the live trading channel in the morning.
Absolutely appreciate you. As always, Landon, Lebonsky just sent a heart over. Thank you, Lebonsky. Thank you for showing up, man.
Yes,
Great
sir.
as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
Yep, great as always, Landon. Have a great rest of your day, guys. See you on tomorrow's stream, bright and early in the morning. And as always, guys, stay consistent out there.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Early morning stillness, just you and me. Coffee pot brewing, charts on my screen. Every ripple in my cup shows me something new. Just like market trends, they're giving me a clue. Watch it rise and fall, both seeming lines. Morning meditation sharpening my mind. I can read these patterns like they're speaking clear, teaching me the rhythm of the day that's near. Every line tells a story, Every trend holds a truth, Sip and study slowly, That's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. Number stands before me in the morning light. While my coffee cools, I'm reading signs just right. Some days flow easy, some test my grace, but I keep my focus, set my own pace. Measure movements, calculated plays, learning from each pattern as the market sways. In this quiet moment, everything aligns. Peace in my cup, clarity in my signs. Ba-da-ba-dum, watch it flow. Da-dum, let me know. Sha-la-la, see it grow. Oh, 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 now you know. Every line tells a story, Every trend holds a truth, Sip and study slowly, That's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. Morning wisdom brewing, charts and coffee flowing. Patterns keep on moving. That's the way